married for 6 years. The servants informed me that my wife's ex-boyfriend had returned to the country. This ex-boyfriend was none other than the award-winning actor Makoto. Even when I was supervising my daughter's homework, she openly defied me, saying, "Daddy is bad. Uncle Ito is nice. Uncle Ito not only buys me candy, he never forces me to study. I want Makoto to be my dad." So I sent Willow the divorce papers right away. But afterwards, no one could have expected, during a variety show recording, one casual remark from my daughter brought the entire set to a stunned silence, and left both Makoto and me completely shocked. Chapter 01. Everyone knows the only reason I managed to marry Willow was because of my unparalleled simp skills. Willow is a wealthy heiress, a young lady of a prominent family with breathtaking looks and a frosty disposition. I was just a nameless extra in a film crew, yet I not only succeeded in marrying her, I even got her to have children with me. Who wouldn't call me the grandmaster of all simps? But honestly, only I know the bitterness behind it all. In the 6th year of our marriage, the servants told me Willow's ex-boyfriend had come back to the country. That ex wasn't just anyone, it was Makoto, the acclaimed actor. The familiar whiff of the stand-in for a crush trope instantly hit me, so I went online to see if Makoto and I looked at all alike. Oops, sorry, we're nothing alike, not even close. If Makoto is a sentimental old dog, then I, George, am a wild dog that can't be chained, always ready to charge out and bite someone. Unluckily for me, no matter how much fight I've got in me, after Makoto came back, Willow never returned home. She wouldn't pick up my calls or answer my messages. Furious, I scrolled through Makoto's Instagram and found the two of them attending the same event in a coastal city. My wife was out fooling around with another man, and my daughter's behavior was aggravating me even more. Alicia just started elementary school this year. While I was overseeing her homework, not only did she refuse to do it, she openly confronted me. "Daddy is the worst," she declared, hugging her toy. "Uncle Ito is nice. He never makes me study and always buys me toys." I was both angry and amused. Fine, if she wants to leave, then let her. My wife wants to find our daughter a new dad, and it seems Alicia is fully on board with it. They say everyone experiences an awakening at least once in life. At 28, I had mine. After working diligently for the Lu Group all these years, what did I get? A cold shoulder from my father-in-law and constant scorn from my ungrateful wife and daughter. Living as a humble, live-in simp was beyond humiliating, but it doesn't matter. I'm walking away. The Lu family's tiny shrine can't possibly hold a great Buddha like me. I'm going to walk out there and blind the whole world. Chapter 02. I fired off a divorce agreement to Willow in record time, then contacted my agent, David, my brother from another mother. He lined up my first comeback role, playing a vicious supporting character in Makoto's new production. That made me so mad I nearly disowned him on moral grounds. I grabbed David by the collar, ready to give him a good thrashing. David pleaded his innocence, saying, "Wong, come on, think this through. You haven't acted in years. The fact you can even book a part now is already a win." He wasn't wrong. You have to slog through some hardships on your road to success. So I stopped complaining and reluctantly joined the crew to play the sidekick villain to Makoto's leading man. He's a true gentleman with a big heart. As for me, I'm no man unless I'm ruthless. At the press conference, Makoto stood beside me, wearing a warm, humble smile, but every word he spoke was laced with insinuations. He patted my shoulder and said, "I feel like Mr. Wong in real life resembles his character a lot. He portrays that underhanded, despicable nature flawlessly." In the original storyline, this character had a romantic subplot, but I decided to scrap it. After all, we agreed no woman would ever fall for a man like that. I brushed off my shoulder and cut him short without bothering to banter. I grabbed the mic in one swift motion. I said, "I hope the scriptwriters heard that. Looks like Mr. Ito not only delivers a less than stellar performance, but also takes it upon himself to rewrite your script." The moment the press conference went live, I got dragged through the mud by Makoto's fans. I shot straight to the top of the trending topics for all the wrong reasons. Who does this washed-up nobody think he is? Publicly dissing our Makoto. He's just a bitter simp who spent 6 years groveling for Willow's attention. But Willow's heart was always with Makoto. Another comment read, "Makoto came back, and that guy immediately got kicked to the curb." My buddies tried to comfort me, but I was surprisingly chill about it. I said, "It's no big deal. I'm focusing on my career right now. As an actor, having no buzz is the real nightmare. Makoto just handed me all this free publicity. I should be thanking him. I gotta strike while the iron's hot, pick up 20 more villain roles." True to form, my agent hustled and quickly got me over 20 scripts. While I was at home feverishly reading them, Makoto was busy making waves of his own. He stirred up a social media frenzy while also taking my daughter onto the hottest parent-child reality show. Then he sent me a message beforehand. "George, watch the live stream at 8 tonight. Just give up. Willow is mine. You can cling all you want, but it's useless. Cling." How am I clinging? I've already mailed the divorce agreement. Willow just won't sign it. I've called 3 times to check, and every time her company assistant picks up to say Ms. Lou is too busy to look at my divorce papers. I tried explaining this to Makoto, but he wouldn't believe me. He laughed and said, Willow's always loved me. She can't wait to divorce you. If you weren't squatting in the Lou family mansion like a parasite, I'd have held a wedding for her long ago. Better tune in tonight and see how your daughter calls me Dad. Chapter 03. As much as it stung, I guess we humans are all a bit masochistic. At exactly 8 o'clock, I tuned into the live stream. Makoto appeared on screen wearing a doting smile, leading Alicia by the hand. It was as though he couldn't wait to plaster exemplary family man across the broadcast. He said, Ali, here's your favorite chocolate ice cream. I've stocked the freezer. This time, you can have as much as you like. I felt my anger flare. Ali has a major sweet tooth and loves cold treats, but a child's stomach is delicate. When I was home, I only let her have 1 sweet snack a day at most. She threw tantrums over it more than once. Ali was busy playing with her doll. She glanced at the fridge and asked, Can I skip dinner and just have ice cream? Makoto chuckled. Of course you can, as long as you're happy. Eat whatever you want, but that'll make you sick. Ali puffed out her cheeks. Uncle, do you really not know that? Makoto's smile froze. In front of the cameras, he was at a loss for words. He said, Ali, you should call me Dad. But Ali kept her head down, focused on her doll, ignoring him completely. Makoto lost his patience and, forgetting the fact they were live, snapped, Once I marry your mom, I'll be your dad. You'll have to call me that sooner or later. Got it? Ali set aside her Rubik's Cube and fixed her gaze on Makoto. Just when he thought she was finally giving in, she burst into tears with a loud wail. You're a big meanie. I used to be the top student in my class, but you only let me play with toys and never do homework. So now I'm falling behind. Tom and Max make fun of me. Atta girl. She still has hope, I thought, feeling proud. She went on through her sobs. If mom marries you, I'll end up dead last in my class. I don't want to be last. Ali was bawling her eyes out on camera, snot and tears everywhere, while Makoto's face went from pale to red and back again, awkward in every possible way. He forced a tight smile and muttered through clenched teeth, Ali, if you keep acting out, your mom is going to deal with you when we get home. With that half-hearted attempt at salvaging his pride, he signaled frantically to the cameraman to wrap things up, and the show ended in a rush. That very night, Makoto and I both dominated social media's trending topics again. My manager friend was practically speechless with excitement. Buying ad space for a trending topic is expensive, he said. Our tiny agency can't afford that kind of promotion. Makoto practically gave it to you for free. He's shoveling money into your pocket. I checked the comments on the trending posts. It was hard to tell if they were bots or Makoto's fans, but most of them were cursing me out. One said, that jerk George must have brainwashed his daughter. He's the reason she's behaving so badly. Someone replied, don't worry, that kid doesn't know any better. Her mom'll probably give her a good spanking when she gets home. A few minutes later, a new alert popped up. Welcome Ms. Willow to the platform. Makoto's fans rushed to Willow's newly created account. They commented, Miss Lou must have joined to show support for our Makoto. Another one said, she really loves him. They're childhood sweethearts, the best ship. If that buzzkill George hadn't stuck his nose in, it would have been perfect. Moments later, Willow's very first post appeared. Willow, who is Makoto? Could the show's production staff please contact me and explain why my daughter is with him? Chapter 04. Willow's Instagram post took the online frenzy to new heights. Social media blew up in a Rashomon-like storm, with commenters saying all sorts of things. Some claimed Makoto had long bragged that Willow had accepted his proposal, and this latest post proved it was just made-up hype. Willow didn't even acknowledge him. Others insisted people didn't get it. This was obviously just a lover's spat, with Willow throwing a tantrum online. There were also those who said it was all because of George, that repulsive jerk who keeps haunting Willow's life, probably using some manipulative tactic on her. The show's director, an affable, heavy-set guy, was at home, positively euphoric. The soaring viewership felt like a career high for him. That night he even ate 3 extra bowls of rice to celebrate. Not only did he insist Makoto keep live streaming with Ali, he also rushed over to my hotel to invite me to join the show. I frowned. You're not trying to stir up drama, are you? Hoping Makoto and I will throw hands on camera. He shook his head emphatically. Of course not, Mr. Wong. You're overthinking it. But the gleam in his eyes gave him away. He was definitely thinking about it. I hesitated. Currently, I was staying at a hotel provided by the production crew for a new show, backed by a decent team. The next day, I had an important scene to shoot, one that could be a real boost to my acting career if I did it well. Still, I missed my daughter, even if she was acting out. No matter how troublesome she is, she's my kid. I tried testing the waters by giving Ali a call. Don't come. I don't want you here. she answered, her little voice surprisingly stern. You and mommy are already divorced, I'm staying with her. I heard Makoto laughing in the background, presumably watching cartoons with Ali. I couldn't help myself. Have you finished your homework? Why are you watching TV already? Ali quickly cut me off. Uncle Makoto promised to help me with my homework. I don't need you. Anyway, don't come. I don't miss you one bit. If you show up, I won't see you. She hung up, leaving me listening to the busy signal. Stunned, I set my phone down. The director had no choice but to leave. Before he went, he handed me his business card and said I could join the show anytime if I changed my mind. I stared at that card for a long while and sighed. Forget it. No point in chasing after someone who doesn't want me around. I'd hoped she might miss me, but within just a few hours, Makoto had found some new way to buy her over. Now that I think about it, Ali's hot and cold routine, torturing everyone around her, is exactly like her mother's. My agent buddy showed up with some takeout, and I went over the lines for my big scene again before getting a good night's sleep. Early the next morning, I arrived on set, and immediately felt how massive the buzz had become. Usually, a minor actor like me doesn't draw any media attention, but after last night's drama, paparazzi swarmed the filming location. The crew refused to let them onto the set, so they actually rented a construction crane and hoisted a high-definition camera up in the air to catch my every expression. They probably hoped to see me depressed and unfocused, a down-and-out middle-aged man whose wife left him. But I wasn't about to give them the satisfaction. If they wanted to roll the cameras, I'd show them how professional I can be. In my pivotal scene, my lines were crisp and clear, emotions fully engaged. The fight choreography flowed like water, and during a heated shouting match, my intensity was off the charts. After one take, the director and the entire crew around the monitor applauded. The paparazzi didn't get the dirt they wanted, so they posted these behind-the-scenes shots online instead. In the comments, people who had been waiting for a juicy train wreck found themselves watching an actual show scene. Some commented, "These paparazzi are slipping. This isn't gossip. It's basically a behind-the-scenes feature." Someone else said, "Wow, I gotta say, those fight moves looked pretty legit. Maybe that Wong guy has some skill." Another replied, "Wait, do we still have actors in this industry who do their own stunts?" My agent buddy cackled while reading these comments. I knew exactly why he found it so funny. Makoto is famous for frequently using stunt doubles, a fact once criticized as an industry scandal. With the topic resurfacing now, it was inevitable people would compare us. I wasn't sure who was winning on the romantic front, but at least career-wise, I was pulling ahead for the moment. After we wrapped for the day, I tuned into Makoto and Ali's live stream again. By then, they should be getting along pretty well, right? 3 minutes in, I realized how wrong I was. The production had asked each parent-child pair to prepare a performance for a group showcase. True to form, Makoto leaned hard into his favorite persona, devoted husband, and loving dad. This time, he planned a short play with Ali. He would play a brave knight, rescuing Ali, dressed as a princess, from a menacing dragon. It was classic Makoto, hoping to capture the hearts of those viewers who fantasize about being pampered like a child by their spouse. On the day of the show, Makoto was decked out in full knightly regalia, except for the helmet. So as not to hide his handsome face, he probably had the trending hashtags all planned out. Maybe something like, Makoto the gallant hero on the run. Ali, in her little princess gown, looked totally uninvested. She half-heartedly read her lines, half-heartedly got taken away by the dragon, and half-heartedly waited for Makoto to rescue her. But at the crucial moment, she suddenly stopped Makoto and turned to the dragon. "Let's make a deal," she said. "If you take my stepdad away and make him disappear, I'll let you be my dad." Okay. On the live stream, I could practically see Makoto's pupils quake in real time. Ali had completely derailed the script. The staff member playing the dragon was stunned, turning to the show director for guidance. But that heavy-set director, a veteran of many reality shows, sensed prime viral content in the making. He waved for them to continue. In a gruff, dragon voice, the staffer asked, "You don't want to go with him?" "Nope," Ali said. "You're older and live alone. I'll stay with you, keep you company in your old age. And you have to promise not to harm the innocent people in our kingdom." That night, a high-profile Instagram blogger wrote a 1,000-word analysis of Ali's improvised storyline. In this 6-year-old, we see genuine altruism and empathy. She's a princess who puts her people first, sacrificing herself for the peace of her realm. More importantly, she shows compassion for another creature. While everyone else deems the dragon evil, she recognizes its loneliness. Meanwhile, in a corner no one paid attention to, Makoto looked like he was about to blow a fuse. His carefully crafted, gallant hero, hashtag never trended at all. Instead, viewers mockingly pushed, runaway clown, for him. It was a brutal blow for someone who loves to keep his protective dad and doting husband image alive. Ali, for her part, was oblivious to the online chatter. When interviewed, she let out a long sigh of relief, At least I don't have to rehearse anymore. Now I can study properly, she said. I already promised Tom and Max I'll do better on my next test. The show's producer gently probed. Is that promise just for Tom and Max? I'm sure there's someone else who wants you to do well too, and we've invited him here today. Ali's big eyes suddenly welled up with tears. She turned around as the door opened, and I walked in. Yes, I decided to show up after all. The filming was over, and my schedule was free, so I pulled out the business card the director had left me and gave him a call. Ali let out a cry and lunged into my arms. I scooped her up, and everyone on set braced themselves for an emotional father-daughter reunion. They watched me with tearful eyes, anticipating some moving, heartfelt speech. I looked at her and asked, "Who are Tom and Max?" Ali was speechless. She looked away. They're my two best friends. My face clouded over. How can you be close friends with two boys at the same time? Tom and Max, you gotta pick one. The audience had been on the edge of their seats waiting for some messy three-way drama between Willow, Makoto, and me. After Willow's last Instagram post, she'd vanished. I'd been busy on set, so the public had been left hanging, curiosity boiling over. Now my sudden line caused an instant uproar. In the barrage of scrolling comments, people chimed in. Whoa, is he throwing shade at Willow? Remember, Makoto and George went to school with Willow. They both chased her once. So George is basically hinting at Willow's love triangle. Another person added. Exactly, dating multiple people at once. Stringing them along, that's scummy behavior. Someone countered. Stop with the backup plan nonsense. Willow's divorced now. Obviously she's gonna marry Makoto. Someone else shot back. Makoto's fans are delusional. Didn't Willow just post about not even knowing who he is? The fight in the comments escalated rapidly, with both sides going at it, until a new trending topic shot to the top. Makoto-Willow intimate photos leaked. Chapter 05. The photo looked like it was taken 7 or 8 years ago. Back then, Makoto hadn't yet become a famous award-winning actor. He was sporting a neat buzz cut. Willow was wearing a white dress, even without makeup. A gentle smile from her could take anyone's breath away. She was leaning close to Makoto, handsome boy and beautiful girl, a picture-perfect couple. The moment that photo was released, it ended all debate. Willow's earlier Instagram post claiming she didn't know Makoto instantly lost all credibility. Makoto's fans claimed a total victory, flooding every corner of the internet with, "Told you it was just a little lover's quarrel." And Willow's definitely got the attitude of a spoiled heiress. She really needs to watch her mouth. Right around that time, someone conveniently leaked Makoto's private Instagram account. It didn't have much content, just a few journal entries. Today she got married, and I was out in the rain alone, feeling a tangled mess of pain. I blame myself for not noticing sooner. At graduation, that shameless guy kept clinging to her. She only danced one dance and had one drink with him. He must have spiked that drink. That's how she ended up carrying his child and marrying him. I hate no one. I only hate fate for separating two people who truly love each other. I stared at the screen, my fists unconsciously clenching. My agent walked up behind me, patted my back, and said, "There's no point trying to clear your name now. Nobody would believe you." I set my phone aside and sighed. I just want a good night's sleep. That night, I dreamed about the dance Makoto mentioned. I was holding Willow in the brightly lit ballroom, her dress swirling. Her eyes were mesmerizing, glowing brighter than the crystal chandeliers. I lost myself in that glow, never wanting to come up for air. I'd liked Willow from the very first day of freshman year. She was the radiant center of attention, a cool and distant campus beauty, and the wealthy daughter of a powerful family. Whenever she performed at arts showcases, crowds of male admirers went wild. I did a lot of clumsy things to catch her eye, dressing up in a mascot costume to hand out flyers along her usual path, or scheming to get into the same project group in an elective course. One summer, the inside of that mascot suit was stiflingly hot, and I managed to say just one line, "Hey, Willow," before fainting from heat stroke. Willow was the one who struggled to carry me to the school clinic. Then, after we finally got assigned to the same project group, I vowed to impress Willow with my brilliance, crammed through 5 volumes of English language research in 3 all-nighters. But I was so sleep-deprived that my mind went blank during the presentation. And again, Willow had to quietly step in and save me. I was convinced Willow might like me a bit too. After all, at our graduation dance, she agreed to be my partner. When I invited her, asking if she'd join me, I caught a faint smile, one that reminded me of Alicia's, on that frosty yet striking face of hers. She said yes, and no, I never drugged her. So Makoto's story was obviously false. But we had more than just a single drink, way more. I remember taking Willow home in a car after the party. She leaned her head on my shoulder, collar slightly open, the sweet scent of her perfume mingling with the warmth of alcohol. I told myself, sometimes in life you've got to be bold for love. So I unfastened my seatbelt, wrapped an arm around her, and lowered my head to kiss her. The startled driver slammed on the brakes. Willow, however, just fell into my arms, hugging me tight. I can still recall the fragrance clinging to her that night, rose perfume mingled with that tipsy warmth, heady and alluring. Chapter 06. Makoto's version of events isn't true, but it's not entirely baseless either. For instance, I really don't know if Willow would have married me had she not gotten pregnant with Alicia after that dance. After the wedding, our communication became even less frequent. My father-in-law disapproved of me and thought acting was a dead-end career. He forced me to join the family company, but he didn't just hand me some cushy position. In fact, he worked me to the bone every day from dawn till dusk. Even so, he never changed his attitude. He often berated me in front of everyone, humiliating me. As for Willow, she was constantly traveling, visiting different branches to prepare for taking over the company. In short, we saw each other rarely. A single meeting was hard to come by. You could say that after 6 years of marriage, I still didn't know Willow all that well. Sometimes I felt like she did love me. For example, once when I was sick, she flew back overnight to stay with me. But by the time my fever broke the next morning, the room was empty. Alicia was about 4 or 5 at the time. I asked her if she saw her mom, and she shook her head insistently. She said, "Mommy never came home." "Did she tell you to say that?" I pressed. Ollie hesitated for a moment. That was enough to confirm that Willow really had come back. So it wasn't just my imagination, but I couldn't figure out why she was going to such lengths. Online chatter about me was deafening, but in this day and age, even bad publicity can sometimes be a benefit. One morning, as soon as I woke up, my agent David burst in, grabbed me, and shook me with excitement. A world-famous film director, someone I wouldn't have even dreamed of working with, had emailed, inviting me to audition for his new movie to play a rising Chinese star. In his email, the director wrote, "There's a sense of controversy and a compelling personal story surrounding Mr. Wong, which is exactly what I've been looking for. Take a look at the script and let me know." After reading the script, I saw why the director had reached out to me. The role was a down-on-his-luck aspiring actor who rises to stardom through sheer perseverance. Gifted and glamorous on the surface, he also faces endless slander and gossip, carrying an underlying loneliness behind the spotlight. The parallels between the film's story and the public circus around my own life were uncanny. I knew that if I could truly embody this character, I might leave my mark on cinematic history. I immediately replied, accepting the role, but things didn't go as smoothly as I'd hoped. On the very first day of production, the moment I arrived at the hotel conference room, I saw the director hurl his script onto the table in a rage. It turned out the investors had forced changes to the script, just so they could insert another character. Instead of one lead, there would now be 2. My original role was the determined underdog clawing his way up, while the newly added role was, of course, a refined, wealthy heir. The second I heard that description, I had a bad feeling. Sure enough, the investor's plush minivan pulled up, and out stepped none other than Makoto. Chapter 07. Makoto comes from a very wealthy family. His foray into show business is purely about fame and fortune. In some ways, he and Willow are a perfect match. If Willow marries him after divorcing me, their 2 families will no doubt merge and become even more powerful. Right now, Makoto's face was lit with a smug grin. Ever since his secret account came to light, he's managed to paint me as the sleazy guy who drugged someone, while he became the destined soulmate who'd been kept apart from Willow by cruel twists of fate. The director clearly wasn't keen on Makoto but had no choice. The film industry has been in a slump these past couple of years. Even a well-known director struggles to secure funding for a project. Smoking a cigarette, he let out a quiet sigh in my direction. There's nothing we can do. Art always has to bow to capital. I understood his dilemma, but Makoto wasn't finished. He brought an entire team of writers to the set and started revising the script. My scenes were visibly shrinking. Eventually, nearly every scene revolved around him. The director erupted in anger on set. He fumed. "With this new script, I don't even know what I'm supposed to shoot anymore." But the producer, who'd already taken money from Makoto's family, was brimming with confidence. He said, "Director, if you insist on refusing to film, we can always find a replacement. Of course, you're free to stick to your original script, provided you can secure the funding on your own." He trailed off suddenly, mid-sentence. A motorcade had pulled up, with a Maserati at the front. When its door swung open, a figure in a fitted black designer dress stepped out. Willow. She wore her usual cool, distant expression. Striding up to the producer, he recognized her immediately and forced a fawning smile. "Miss Liu, what brings you here?" Willow's voice was every bit as frosty as her demeanor. "All the buzz online about your production. I came to see what's so entertaining." Dusk was falling, and the dimming light seemed to put her on edge. She slipped off her sunglasses, tucked them into her purse, and walked forward. The producer hurried to usher her in. Under the interplay of set lighting and shadows, her features stood out even more sharply, a face so flawless it seemed like a masterpiece from the hand of creation. Around me, I heard hushed gasps. Everyone knew Willow had the kind of face worthy of the silver screen. Paired with that poised, Regal air you can only cultivate growing up in wealth, something no actor could ever fully imitate. I pinched my thigh hard. George, don't be a fool. A beautiful face can topple kingdoms. Don't let your guard down. She's not yours anymore. She's not yours. But before I'd finished talking myself out of being dazzled, I saw Willow heading straight for me. She stopped by my side and turned to the producer. He was clearly confused and forced a grin again. Miss Liu, as of now, I am one of the investors, Willow said coolly. Chapter 08. Inside the meeting room, the director, who had never met Willow before, tried to gauge the intentions of this new financial backer. He asked politely, Ms. Liu, if you plan to invest in our project, do you have any particular expectations? Willow replied, I don't know anything about the artistic side. Sitting elegantly in the corner of the sofa, she sipped her tea and pointed at me. You all discuss it. My company is only providing the funding. So the director and I started discussing the film. Willow sat in the back, silently listening, not joining the conversation at all, except once, when the director mentioned that reconstructing a particular scene from years ago would really heighten the character's authenticity. It would be expensive to recreate, though, and in the film, it would only appear for a few seconds. Recreate it, Willow said. That was her only comment all night. Hearing that, the director left to contact the art and props team he knew. In the meeting room, it was just me and Willow. I turned my head and noticed that Willow had fallen asleep, still maintaining her graceful posture, but her brow was slightly furrowed, as though she was utterly exhausted. Now that I've left the company, she must be having a hard time facing everything on her own. I inched closer, trying not to wake her, wanting to drape a blanket over her quietly. But just then, the door flew open. Makoto, having heard Willow was there, barged in like a gust of wind. Willow, startled awake, her eyes held a glimmer of lingering drowsiness, warm and gentle when they landed on me, but turning cold, inch by inch. As she looked at Makoto, she said icily, I didn't think you'd still have the nerve to show up. Actually, it's good you're here. I was just about to settle things for good. Makoto froze. He said, Willow, sis. Willow raised a finger to hush him, then arched her brow with annoyance. Rolling her eyes, she said, don't call me that. It's disgusting. Also, Mr. Ito, we hardly know each other, right? If you hadn't kept popping up left and right, I probably wouldn't even remember you were once my classmate. We at the Liu family have stayed quiet, not because we wanted to save your face, but for the sake of the Ito family, she continued, each word crisp and deliberate. Seems like you don't appreciate it, Makoto protested. No, it's not like that. Willow, I just love you too much. Everything I've done has been for you. Willow cut him off, voice frosty. Get out. He refused to move, glaring at me instead. What did you do to Willow? Did you threaten her? Willow, don't be afraid, I'll protect you. I was speechless. Makoto suddenly lunged at me, and by reflex, I kicked him in the knee, sending him crashing down in front of me. Groaning in pain but still refusing to give up, he grabbed a teacup from the table and hurled it at me. In that split second, Willow yanked on my arm to pull me behind her. The cup shattered, nearly hitting her. Shards flew everywhere. Willow clung tightly to my arm, glaring icily at Makoto. Moments later, security rushed in to restrain him. Willow bit her lip. Take him out of here. The guards hesitated, looking at Makoto. They didn't dare make a move. Willow frowned. Throw him out. This is my private lounge. In the end, Makoto was dragged away against his will, leaving only Willow and me in the room. Her hands were still clutching my arm. The familiar rose scent drifted up, and I felt my resolve waver for a moment. But I pushed her away. Ms. Liu, I said, as far as I remember, we're already divorced. Willow replied, as far as I recall, I never signed. I was at a loss. If you won't sign, I'll file for divorce in court. She looked at me steadily. Do you really want a divorce? Yes, I said, though not with much conviction. Still, I gritted my teeth. Willow, I've had plenty of time to think these past few months. This life with no dignity, I can't go on like that. I have my own dreams, my own ambitions. I'm determined to leave my mark on film history. Willow fell silent for a moment. Maybe it was just my imagination, but I thought I saw a trace of a smile. Softly, she said, fine, then let's get divorced. Chapter 09. The following day, Willow posted yet another Instagram update that stirred up the public. It was simple, just a single photograph. It showed the picture of her and Makoto from the other day, except now it was the full image. In reality, it was a large group photo of about a dozen students, presumably taken after some class. She offered no explanation, but the meaning was crystal clear. Makoto had cropped out everyone else to create a false narrative and deceive the public. Some paparazzi managed to corner Willow, demanding to know why she was only clearing things up now. Was it because of a business relationship between the Liu family and the Ito family? Willow ignored them. I had a hunch about what was really going on. I cornered my friend, my agent, who'd been acting shifty behind my back. Staring him down, I said, I remember a few days ago, you kept sneaking off to make calls, telling someone on the other end, don't do it yet. It's not the right time. He tried to dodge. What are you talking about? I don't get it. Don't play dumb, I snapped, grabbing his shoulders. Were you talking to Willow? You told her not to clarify right away, because letting the gossip simmer would boost my popularity. After all, it wasn't some ironclad scandal. There'd be room to flip the narrative later, and the higher the buzz, the more it would help my career. Getting that film offer proved you right. What exactly are you and Willow plotting? My friend, faced with my barrage of questions, threw up his hands. Nothing, really. No schemes. Willow just asked me to help you get ahead in your career. She said if we ever needed her help, we should reach out. I let go of him and rubbed my temples, recalling how I'd majored in journalism and communications back in college, but had always secretly dreamed of becoming an actor. During my very first campus theater competition, I starred in a play that turned out to be a massive hit. I arrogantly shouted at the time, anyone who wants my autograph, better get it now. I'll be a superstar soon. And back then, Willow was in the audience. Later, I did get some minor acting gigs with production crews, but then my father-in-law roped me into his company. I got buried in work and social engagements, reduced to a rigid, 2-point commute like a machine. Somewhere along the line, I lost sight of my dream. Could it be that Willow still remembered? Chapter 10. Making this film was tough, but all of us on the main creative team loved every minute of it. Makoto's scenes got whittled down to almost nothing, and the script returned to its original form. I was once again the lead under the spotlight. For the final scene, I had to perform a stage play within the movie. The moment I finished, my character's part wrapped for good. The director handed me a bouquet and took a photo with me. Ali ran over to give me a hug. She's on summer break, so she came to visit the set. The director even gave her a small Flower Girl cameo. Plenty of reporters were on site. Seeing Ali reminded them of our viral father-daughter moment from that reality show, so they held out a mic for her. Have you decided between Tom and Max? Ali replied seriously. I did make a choice. I choose to study. The reporters paused, then burst out laughing. After the interviews, Ali left under the nanny's care to attend her extracurricular class. Some reporters also interviewed Willow. This time, she uncharacteristically shared a bit about her personal life. She paused briefly, then said, I guess you could say I'm currently divorced and single. Sensing a juicy scoop, the reporters asked, with a beauty like Ms. Lu newly single, you must have countless suitors. Willow cut them off in a fluster. Don't say that. I'm divorced and raising a child, and I'm waiting for my ex-husband to come around. A reporter followed up. So, does that mean you're waiting to remarry? Willow nodded. Waiting for the right time. They pressed on. What's the right time for you to say yes to a remarriage? Willow let out a faint smile. Once he becomes a superstar. But that's just my one-sided wish. Whether he's willing to marry me again is up to him. Chapter 11. I went home to pack my things and get ready for my next gig. Ali had gone off to her lessons, and no one else was around. Willow was sitting on the sofa, quietly watching me move about. Truth be told, there wasn't much left to pack. Eventually, I stopped fussing with my bags, deciding to drop the act. I kind of missed the sight of Ms. Lu's beauty, I said, so I came back to have a look. A flush crept over Willow's cheeks. She got up and walked over, caught my hand, and guided it across her brows, the bridge of her nose, her chin, and down along her collarbone, then kept going lower. Before my rational mind could catch up, she rose on her tiptoes and hooked her arms around my neck, whispering in my ear, if a family will only slow you down, I can just be your lover for now. That night, I fell asleep holding Willow and had a dream. We were both old and gray. I was lying in a hospital bed, and she sat by my side, hand in mine, asking if I had any regrets. When I opened my eyes, Willow was already awake. In the darkness, her lashes looked so long. Her gaze was soft as she watched me. She asked, were you dreaming? She scooted closer, pressing herself gently against me. I wanted to tell her I had glimpsed something like our previous lifetime, something that might explain so much. In the end, though, I didn't say it. I only held Willow more tightly in the dark and whispered by her ear. Thank you. Chapter Extra. Willow. In their previous lifetime, Willow and George were actually a happily married couple. She was born into a prominent, wealthy family, raised with all the privileges of that world. Children who grow up in that environment naturally carry a certain aloofness. Until she met George, the year she enrolled, there was a campus competition in which George performed a stage play, playing the role of a gang leader. His acting was riveting. At the very end, he shouted to the audience, if anyone wants my autograph, better hurry. I'm going to be a superstar one day. Though it came across a bit overly dramatic, like a teenage bravado, it also brimmed with a carefree, radiant energy, lively and dazzling. In that moment, she remembered him. George, just an ordinary name, yet she kept running into him. When her mother passed away, she was walking alone on campus. Her face was dry, but inside she felt as overcast as the sky. Suddenly, a giant bear, a student in a mascot suit, charged out from the side and scooped her into a firm hug. Though, as soon as he spoke, he fainted from heat stroke. There were many moments like that. On graduation dance night, George reached out his hand and asked if she would be his dance partner. She had never been so happy in her life. They both drank a lot that day. It wasn't just his impulsive desire. She shared the same feelings. They had a child, got married. Willow took over the company, and George spent his whole life tirelessly helping her. The company thrived, but he grew old. He was no longer that brash, confident young man. He became a shrunken old man, like an apple core. They say men generally have shorter lifespans than women, and George left the world before she did. Willow was at his bedside, asking if he had any regrets. He smiled and said no, but she could see in his eyes that he did. An old film happened to be playing on the TV, one starring Makoto, and she noticed the way George looked at the screen. Full of longing, she hazily recalled how, decades ago, he had stood on stage and shouted to the crowd with such conviction, "I'm going to be a superstar someday." Yet in the end, for her sake, he faded into ordinary life. His old dream drowned in mundane responsibilities. Shortly after George's passing, she was diagnosed with a fatal illness. When she opened her eyes again, she found herself back on her wedding day, wearing that long white gown and walking down the aisle toward George. She gazed at his smiling face. "If we could relive our lives, I hope you'll fulfill your dreams." So she volunteered to manage a branch office out of town. In her previous life, she persuaded George to continue acting, but then a crisis erupted at that branch, and it dragged him in. George poured all his energy into the Liu family business, pinning down his own career before it could take off. This time, she decided to intervene early and extinguish the crisis at the source. She worked herself to the bone all by herself, never imagining that, in her absence, the timeline would shift. The Makoto she only vaguely remembered from her past life took advantage of the gap to spread rumors about them, but it didn't matter. After a rough patch, they finally reached a good outcome. One reporter, lacking tact, asked her in an interview, "Miss Liu, if you had to choose between a first love and someone who's left an indelible mark on your life, which would it be? What first love and what so-called imprint?" She laughed. "There was never any first love throughout my entire life. George has always been my only choice." Chapter Extra, Alicia. After graduating, Alicia became a director for a wealthy heiress. It was quite an unusual choice. Yet, considering her father was Mr. George, the recipient of a Lifetime Achievement Award, perhaps it wasn't so difficult to understand. Alicia's first work was titled 3 Lifetime Romance, an extremely experimental project. She used archival footage of her parents, editing it into a pseudo-documentary that told a story. This film only presented the first lifetime and the second lifetime. In the first, George set aside his dreams and lived an ordinary life. In the second, he pursued his aspirations. After watching it, many audience members asked where the third lifetime was. Alicia did not respond. Many years later, Alicia's parents passed away. Madam Willow and Mr. George both lived to an advanced age, passing peacefully. According to the butler who discovered them in the small house by the sea, Mr. Wang departed first, and Mrs. Liu followed not long after. At their memorial service, Alicia rescreened her debut film. She closed her eyes, tears streaming down her cheeks, yet there was a faint smile on her lips. She said, "Now, they must have gone on to their third lifetime." The movie froze on its final frame, a handwritten note from Ms. Liu to Mr. Wang. "I've witnessed him at his lowest, and I've also seen the light in his eyes when he gazes into the distance. That tiny spark that refuses to die. He's like the wind, he was never meant to stay in one place for my sake alone.